those that I haven't had the pleasure of speaking with yet, as I mentioned, I'm one of the co-founders of ClassBank. My school was a PBIS school, and we tried all the systems, some digital systems that were really clunky, tried the paper bucks that was impossible to use. I would lose them. My kids would lose them. They look super sweet here, but they would try to counterfeit them, and it was just a complete mess. So that is why we created ClassBank. Our goal is to make positive reinforcement extremely easy for your teachers, engaging for your students, and then more meaningful for your administration as well. Now you can capture all of that data to help you drive your tiered interventions and supports. We're grounded in evidence-based practices. So PBIS isn't just a poster on the wall. Your teachers can actually implement it with fidelity throughout the entire school year. We're seeing really exciting impact in the Columbus area. Pleasant View Middle School, who is one of our first schools, unfortunately not able to join the call today. Similarly, they had inconsistency across classrooms, so they were looking for a PBIS system to unite their staff, implemented ClassBank, and within just 6 months, they saw a 23% decrease in behavioral incidences and extremely strong buy-in from staff. So we're excited to build this impact with you all as well. So with that, I'm going to go ahead and pass over the talking stick to everyone in the room because y'all are the experts. I'm especially going to highlight Dave and Ashley. They're leaders in Southwestern. And as I mentioned, they've been using ClassBank for a while now, so they can really answer any nitty-gritty questions that y'all have. But the first question that I want to ask Dave and Ashley is, why did you implement ClassBank?
I can go ahead and go first. Actually, the person that really got it up and running at Pleasant View Middle School was he became the principal at Norton Middle School. And so when he first came in, he really raved about how their PBIS committee was able to use the program, how their teachers really bought into it. And I think the biggest thing is, like Abby mentioned, we've all probably tried a number of different systems, and there's positives and negatives to all of them. But the biggest negative is just like the it's time consuming, right? Somebody's got to manage it and create it, and this is just a really simple. In a matter of 5 minutes at the beginning of the year, I can go in and set up some initial stuff. I can copy things over from one year to the next. So for us, it's been really beneficial just because it's so easy to implement. It's easy on the teacher end, it's easy on the admin end, and it gives something that you know because it's so easy, people can use it frequently.
I agree. We implemented ClassBank at Beulah for similar reasons. We wanted a digital program that was aligned with our PBIS framework and expectations, and that's how we chose ClassBank. ClassBank is a really easy program to implement across the whole school. You can give all of your staff members access to use it. And the classes that you create in there, it's really easy to create a template and then to copy over the settings for jobs, for bonuses, for fines, for store items. So once you have master settings, you can save time on the teachers end by just creating those master settings and then copying them for other people to use. That way you set the norms too for your building. It's really important to set those norms. That way it doesn't mess up your economy. We definitely learned a lot of things within our first year. Last year was our first year implementing, and we've learned how important it is to set those norms. So if I can suggest anything for you, make sure you have a clear, consistent system for how much you are rewarding students for a bonus or a fine or jobs. That way they continue to buy into it and it's fair across the whole school. We also like it for the data. I run reports all the time to see student transactions, what store items are the most popular, the top areas for bonuses, for fines, the staff members that are giving the most amount of bonuses. But it's really easy to run reports to use in PBIS, but also to share out in staff meetings. So you continue to have that buy-in from staff. And students love it. They want to earn money. They love money. They want to have jobs. They're continuing to ask us for jobs to earn money, to buy things. So it's something that students really buy into. So it's a program that works, and that's why we love it at Beulah.
You have so many good nuggets in there, and you mentioned the setup being key. So that leads perfectly into my next question. I'd love to learn a little bit more about what your economies look like, and maybe we break it down. If y'all could share what bonuses and fines your staff focuses on, fines if you use them, and the pricing that you set for those.
We actually created the areas for bonuses and fines within PBIS. And the bonuses range from $5 to $50 depending on what the area is, but I'm happy to just go through and highlight what those are if that's helpful. And we chose these based upon issues that we were having across the school. Like we looked at behavior issues and we ran data to kind of figure out like top areas for behavior issues. But we give $5 for appropriate use of technology, $5 for being kind, $5 for being respectful, $5 for using employable language, so teaching students how to be ready for their future career, $5 for being ready to learn, for having perseverance or effort, $5 for a teacher's choice. So if you just want to give something for a student, it's $5. And then the others are a little bit more. So $15 for a positive sub report, $15 for growth on class assessments, and then the biggest is $50 for growth on iReady or HMH. So these are the ones that everybody uses. However, throughout the building, they might differ a little bit depending on cafeteria. We have cafeteria specific bonuses, or there might be other bonuses depending on the location of the school. But we set these within PBIS and we talked about them and what they looked like in front of staff so that they knew how to give access to those bonuses. Dave, what do bonuses look like at your building?
Sorry, trying to unmute myself. Yeah, so we had a very similar kind of rollout where going back a couple years before we moved into our new building, so this is our fourth year in a new building, we saw it as a good opportunity to kind of do a little bit of a reset with PBIS. And we had a ton of student input. We had a lot of staff input into some different areas that we wanted to focus on. We had student surveys, we did some student focus group work, and came down to four different areas, which were collaborative, accountable, thoughtful, and scholarly. And so all of the bonuses that are built into ClassBank for us align with somehow with one of those four areas. And so inside of ClassBank, when a kid gets a bonus from a teacher, and teachers have autonomy to create their own, but we give them a like a preset, selection of things that they can choose from. And so in front of all of the bonuses, it actually has which area of the PBIS matrix it aligns with. So like I'm looking at one right now that's prepared for class. And that falls under our accountable category. And so for a kid who's consistently prepared for class, they're showing accountability. Teacher can, on their own, reward them a $5 bonus. Also under accountable, we've got like a good sub report. So you always hear about the bad sub report. You don't hear about the good sub report, and those do happen. And so teachers can give a bonus to the whole entire class or to individual students if they're doing something particularly noteworthy. And that's worth $15 in ClassBank. In the collaborative section, we have like reaching a common class or a common school goal. If a teacher notices that kids are working well together in a group, they can award those collaborative bonuses. Under scholarly, we also have showing perseverance. That's a big focus of ours. Is we know there's going to be challenges. We've got a lot of kids that are significantly below grade level in certain areas, and they're going to have to work really hard and stick with it. And so we want to acknowledge that. So that falls within our scholarly category. We also have so we use Membean, which is a vocabulary program, and iReady, and teachers can reward students $10 in ClassBank for that. We also have some like whole school rewards. So each quarter, our teachers are able to award a student. We call it the CATS Award. And if a student receives the CATS Award, it's a pretty significant thing because only each teacher can only nominate two students. And so for that, they get $100 in CATS cash, which comes out to be about what they would earn in a month. But the biggest thing for us has been really tying it back to those areas inside of PBIS. And teachers do give fines, but we were very um, intentional with our language at the beginning that this is not a tool to punish students. Like, there are tools for that, right? You have discipline referrals, you have after school detentions, like there's tools to do that. We want this to be an area where there's positivity associated with it. So like generally speaking, our positive to negative ratio is like it's like 90% positive to 10% negative. And that's really where I would like it. I don't want it to be 100% positive, but I also don't want it to be 50% positive. So our teachers have done a really good job of leaning into the positive aspects of it while utilizing the negative side if there's a situation that they might be able to get on track pretty quickly.
Dave, I'm glad you brought up the positivity ratio. Within ClassBank, it actually keeps track of your ratio of bonuses to fines, and you want to be at the 5-to-1 ratio. So giving students 5 bonuses for every 1 fine you might issue. And at Beulah, we also really encourage teachers to really give bonuses all the time versus giving fines. But students know what they could get a fine for because we have like a Bronco Bucks poster and it shows the bonuses, what they could earn money for, or the fines, what they could lose money for. That way we're reinforcing those expectations, or they know what a consequence might be. But I think most recently our positivity ratio was 98%, because you don't want to be giving too many fines or they won't buy into this program. They really need to be accruing that money. And they shouldn't be they shouldn't be getting a double consequence. Like if you're fining them, then they shouldn't also be getting a consequence in the office too. So really have that conversation with your staff about, what's best in that moment. That way they're not getting consequences twice for that one behavior. But students should know what they get money for, what they lose it for, and staff should know too. So we make sure we have posters up or we have it played on our TVs. I also have this on Google Classrooms, and I make this accessible for staff too. That way people always know what they should be giving money for, how they could be earning it.
Are all great tips. I see the pencils writing down furiously. I want to jump into talk about the store a little bit. A question we always get is, how do you run and manage your store? Could you talk about the logistics of that?
Yeah, so I can speak for our school. So we have a lot of times the concern is about money, right? So that's kind of the first kind of level of it is how are you going to pay for the things that fall into this? So in our district, we have something called an enhancement fund, which essentially is up to our building leadership team to determine how we use it. And so in the past, we've been able to use some money from there to be able to purchase some like material items. Typically, someone in our PBIS, a lot of times in the past, it's been our school counselor. And she has it set up so like you can go in to the system and let's say you have school branded pencils as an item. You can go into the system and say, I have 500 school branded pencils in my inventory. And so then as kids are purchasing those things, it won't allow more than 500 kids to make that purchase. So you don't ever have to worry about like overselling something and then you're telling kids, hey, we actually don't have that. So you can create kind of an inventory system inside of there. And then what we've done is we've actually utilized some student helpers. So like our National Junior Honor Society or our student council or just some kids who are really trustworthy and are doing good work in their classes. And they come down and they help kind of package things up and figure out, hey, which we use intervention period typically. Which intervention period is this kid in? What's the room number? So everything is ready. You just pick it up and take it and deliver it. We also, with some of that enhancement money, we purchased a number of kind of um, low cost, high interest items, and we gave them to each teacher. So, like, we would give them, sticking with the theme of pencils, we would give each teacher like 50 pencils. And so then they could stock their own school stores with some of those items. And then we used the school-wide school store as kind of a place for some of the bigger ticket things. But trying to give people something to start with, because one of the easiest ways for um, teachers to say no thank you to ClassBank is if they feel like it's going to cost them a bunch of money. And so we also have sent out, like, there's on the website, there's free ideas. So we've sent out free ideas for people to utilize, but then we also try and stock their store for them at the beginning of the year. And then people do. They go out and they want the little crock charms to be able to give out to kids, and they go on Temu or Amazon and find a billion of something for a nickel, and kids go crazy over it. I don't know, a couple years ago, it was the tiny little baby dolls. Like, it was the weirdest thing, but they loved them. Um, so yeah, we try and front load some of it to the teachers, but then also you just got to kind of find a system, create a system to be able to manage it. And I used to tell our school counselor all the time, like, don't let this rule your day. Like, that you can't, you're not an Amazon inventory worker. Like, you can't spend all day on this. So we need to find systems to be able to keep it moving.
So at Beulah, we run our school store through homeroom. We give every homeroom teacher a bag like this. And in the bag are all the items that students can purchase. Like, there's decks of cards, coloring books, fidgets, pencils, little poppets, stuffed animals, stickers, earbuds. Gel pens are a hot item, and gel pen refills too. So we have, and we bought this through title money, because you can use title funds too, as long as you don't buy food. So use your title funds if you have some left over. I bought a lot of stuff last year through title money. And that's how we stocked all of these bags. We bought a bunch of the drawstring bags in bulk, and we gave them to each teacher with all of these items. Last year, I had NJHS students sort all the items, and every teacher got the same amount. So let's say, like, they got 10 gel pens, they got 40 stickers. So that way I could create the template school store, and I put all the quantities in there for teachers. I put every single item so that they didn't have to do it. They could just copy that school store to their homeroom to save them time. And they had all the items pop up with all the quantities already. And I showed them how to do that in a staff meeting. So build time in staff meetings to get this stuff done. Don't have them do it outside of a staff meeting, because I know it's a lot for them to learn, especially if it's their first time managing a store or using ClassBank. You also want to use a lot of free rewards. So like an Uber ride, that's free. A fast pass to lunch, so students can skip the line and go to lunch, or be the first to the lunch line. Positive phone call home, a free ticket to an athletic home game. They can have a shout out in our school announcements. They can challenge a teacher to a game one-on-one, like basketball, dodgeball, board game, a race. They can sit in the teacher's chair. So those are all our exclusive prices that we advertise, that we give paper passes for. And those require planning from the adult that they want to they want for, like, their Uber driver, or they want to have, like, the call home or something. So we just stress you have to have an adult who will do that item with you, or give you permission to sit in their chair that class period. But I have the school store items on a poster, like a digital poster. That way students know what's available and how much it costs. Staff have that as a poster to share with students before the first shopping day. But we have 2 shopping days a month. They're during homeroom. And then we also have pop-up shops too during lunch periods, where I have other PBIS members help me sell items like school swag, like shirts, wristbands, drawstring bags, items for like before a rival game, like temporary tattoos, pom-poms, face painting. So we sell those like during pop-up shops during a lunch period. That way I can control the transaction right away. They can buy it during lunch. They can get the item during lunch because I have lunch classes loaded within ClassBank. But the school store takes a lot to manage. It shouldn't be one person managing it. You need a committee helping you because it's a lot of prep, making the bags or preparing the items, getting your inventory, managing that. I have an inventory form where teachers can request more inventory, and I have students deliver the items. So just think of a system that works best in your building, but don't be the one person managing it because it's an impossible task. Get a committee that helps you and students that can help you.
Awesome. We are coming up on time. Thank you so much for all of these tips and tricks. I'll be putting this into an email and sending it out afterwards. But this was extremely helpful. We'll definitely have to do more town hall type meetings throughout the year. Now I think we have 25 Columbus area schools. So last thing before we hop off, myself, Harlan, and Brittany will actually be in Columbus next week. So we'd love to pop by to say hi. Feel free to just respond to the email we send after and we can schedule a time. We'd love to come check out your school. With that, we'll let you get back to your busy day. Thank you so much again, Dave and Ashley, for sharing all your tips and tricks. Melissa and Ellen, it was great to see you. And I know a few other folks had to pop off, so we'll share the recording after as well. Thanks, y'all.